Okay. Hello. How you doing? I'm Nerd Strong. Uh, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Um, we are going to take a look at some of the new Dominaria United spoilers that came out over the last week. I haven't had a chance to take a look at these just yet because, well, I've been a little bit busy with work. But I got a couple free moments, so I'm going to take a look at what we have today. So if you want to follow me on over to the website, we're going to take a look at what we got. Boom. All right, cool. Dominaria United spoiler. So only a few cards have gotten released already. I've heard that more is going to be coming to us, not immediately, but like in like mid-August. But this is what we have currently. So first up, we have the Shivan Devastator. This one is pretty interesting to me. It's a X and a red for a 0/0 Dragon Hydra. I don't think I've ever seen this unit type before, so that's kind of interesting to me. It's got flying, it's got haste, so right there, it's going to be good enough to smack your opponent in the face, fireball style, because it comes in with X +1/+1 counters on it. So dump as much mana as you can into this while avoiding counter magic, and you've got yourself a pretty decently sized living fireball that can attack multiple times. So, provided your opponent doesn't have any kind of removal on their turn, you can come in and swing a second time. Um, what I really like about this isn't just that um, it's a decent finisher in like a ramp style deck. It's not just that it has evasion; it's the fact that it's so modular. It's they like you can play it like on turn 3 as a 2/2 flyer haste. You play it on turn 5 as a 4/4. It's like you can play it at just the right time at any time during your game plan to either finish off the opponent or just put a pretty menacing threat on the board that your opponent has to deal with. So like I like this card a lot. I'm probably going to be finding ways to fit it um, into one of my red base decks. Like I like that a lot. Moving on. So we have Jaya, the Fiery Negotiator. So I've been away from Magic for quite a while, and in that time, Jaya has been like kind of like introduced into the game. When I was last playing, Jaya was just flavor text. Like you would see her name show up on various cards through like the Ice Age and Alliances, and I believe there was like another ice set, something like Time Shift or something like that that revisited the snow covered plain of Dominaria during that time period. So this is the first time I'm actually seeing her as a card, and this has me interested. Like I've seen this artwork as an avatar in Magic Arena, but I haven't seen her as an actual playable card yet. So this is new to me. So we have Jaya, Fiery Negotiator, 2 colorless and 2 red mana. She is a legendary planeswalker named Jaya, and she has 4 different abilities. She comes in as a 4 loyalty planeswalker. She has +1, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess. And if you're unfamiliar with prowess, it is a keyword that gives a +1/+1 counter to a unit if you play multiple spells in a turn. So right there is not bad. I mean, she comes down, gives herself +1, so she gets plus. So she comes down as a 5 loyalty if you use the +1 on the turn she comes in, and she comes in with a chump blocker to protect herself with. So right there, not that shabby. Next we have -1. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. So this is something that I'm seeing a lot with red in like current standard is that red's form of value generation card draw is in the form of exiling cards and just making it so you do get to like draw deeper into your deck, but you need to play this right now. Otherwise, it's just going to flicker out of existence. You're not going to be able to play it. Um, I like that red has the option to have card advantage in like a mono red situation, like not having to rely on black or blue to draw extra cards. It's just there you go. Play this turn if you have the opportunity. I can see this working very well with like say you didn't play your land for turn yet, and you use that ability, and it happens to be a land. Okay, now you can play that land, or you can actually play a spell off the top of your deck. So, pretty good. It's only a -1 to the loyalty, so that's not really that big of a cost. Next up, you choose target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya, Fiery Negotiator, deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures to that creature. Okay, so this means that this paired with like that first ability, the +1 to create a unit, that tells me that she wants to be played in like a horde deck, a deck that wants to play lots of characters all at once. And if I remember correctly, she was kind of aligned with the Kildoran barbarian hordes. And I'm just pulling from like flavor text of old cards. But and you can kind of see the barbarian hordes in the background of her artwork there. So this kind of is like a flavor win here. So like she wants to be the kind of character to lead a barbarian horde into battle. So I'm thinking we might see a return of the Kildoran hordes. I doubt we'll see like the original card Kildoran horde because that's kind of underpowered in today's standard, but you'll see like different variations of like that kind of playstyle. So I'm thinking red is going to be playing into either the token theme to kind of go along with New Capenna's Naya Swarm style, or they could be doing something completely different in a mono red shell. So we'll see what happens with more cards as they become released. And that's her -2. Good. Gives a bit of spot removal, so your guys can come smashing through without the chance of blockers. Works really well with creatures that have trample, because you can remove a blocker from a possible trampler, allowing all of that damage to go directly to the face. Yeah, solid ability. Got really nothing more to say about it than that. It's just solid ability. Here's the ultimate. It's -8, so that's a pretty hefty cost. So in order to get there the quickest, you're going to need to +1 3 consecutive turns to get there. But then you got the -8, and her -8 is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. Okay, yeah. That's not just copy once, that's copy it twice. So like you can burn someone out with that very easily. It's like you just got like one spell that goes face. Like play with fire. That deals 6 damage to the opponent's face for 1 mana, and then you scry 3, provided the opponent's still alive at that point. Like that's really strong. Also, her mana cost is only 2 red, so you can very easily splash her into other colors. Let's see, like you're going red black. Like you imagine popping off with 3 instances of Invoke Despair from black, or if you go into blue, you draw like a absolute truck ton of cards off of a single draw spell. You go into green, you play a pump spell on like one of your creatures, so like pump it 3 times, just come crashing through. White, what do you have in white? You have creature removal, you have artifact enchantment removal, you have various pump spells. White's probably not going to get there too well unless you play Invoke Judgment and you resurrect 3 different units. That's not too shabby. Blue, oh blue. Your opponent's never casting another spell again if you manage to pop this off and you have counterspell magic, because you just like cast 3 instances of a counterspell against whatever the opponent has coming out. Yeah, that's strong right there. 3 instances of a draw spell, 3 instances of a bounce spell. Shit, if you're playing Invoke the Winds, steal 3 of your opponent's cards. That's a very powerful effect. However, with the very cost prohibitive nature of -8, I don't see you getting there very quickly. But hey, prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Moving on. Temporal Firestorm. It is a 3 mana, 2 red spell. It's a sorcery. It's got kicker. It's got a complicated kicker. It's got a kicker of one white and or one and a blue. You may pay an additional one white and or one blue as you cast this spell. So basically it's saying that you can kicker for white and kicker for blue, or kicker for white or kicker for blue. Choose up to X creatures and or planeswalkers you control, where X is the number of times this spell was kicked. Those permanents phase out. Temporal Firestorm deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Okay. So it's a potential board wipe. It only deals 5 damage, bear that in mind. And you have the opportunity to save key creatures or key planeswalkers when you cast this spell. Um, it's too expensive. 5 mana at base, dealing 5 damage, not bad. Not bad, I'll give you that. However, 7 and then 9 mana to like kick it, to kick out the jams, to save 1 or 2 units, I don't see that being relevant. Honestly, if this was me, I'd rather just play Depopulate, or I would rather play Meat Hook Massacre, because it's just cheaper for a better effect. I mean, get an extra draw card off of Depopulate if you have a multicolored card, or you start draining life with Meat Hook Massacre. I do see this popping up from time to time in probably lists that wouldn't run those other cards. Like, say you have like um, a red green deck that kind of outscales the 5 damage from this effect. Like a ramp style deck would probably use this. Or if you run a red blue deck that just needs some kind of a pyroclasm style effect and they don't really have anything else available, I can see that being useful. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I don't really see this seeing a whole lot of play. But I do hope I'm wrong on that. I would like to see a spell like this be played on the regular. But let's move on. Next up, we have a black spell. It is Evolved Sleeper. It's 1 black mana for a 1/1 human creature. And it has 3 different abilities. One is black. Evolved Sleeper becomes a human cleric with base power and toughness 2/2. Or 1 and a black. If Evolved Sleeper is a cleric. Okay, so you need to do the first ability first, and then you do the second ability. If Evolved Sleeper is a cleric, put a Death Touch counter on it, and it becomes a Phyrexian human cleric with base power and toughness 3/3. Okay, so this guy's getting completed. That's what this story is. So what I'm seeing so far is this is the black version of that blue creature from Kaldheim, the spirit that gets bigger and gets more powers as you pump more mana into it. Next is 1 and 2 black. If Evolved Sleeper is a Phyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then you draw a card and lose 1 life. That's pretty good. Um, Provided you get enough time and mana investment to pump into this guy, I I could see this guy being really strong if you actually have the opportunity to do this without someone bouncing it as you've invested all that mana into it, or killing the creature after you've invested enough mana into it to get it to its 3rd level. Um, there's too much spot removal in current standard to see this card make any kind of dent. If you manage to play it in a deck that can protect it, like maybe give it hexproof. Like say you're playing this in black green, you can give it hexproof with Tamio Safekeeping, or you can give it like indestructible with one of like a black spell or a white spell. There is a white spell that gives a creature +2/+2 or +3/+3 and indestructible if it's a human, which it happens to be. Um, yeah, there are ways to protect it, but I think it comes with too much of a mana investment before it starts getting good for this thing to make a dent. I mean, by that time, if you're spending that much mana, I would rather spend that mana on 2 more creatures than just investing it all and putting all my eggs into this guy's basket. So yeah, I think I would definitely go with something else rather than this. I think I would rather dump mana into what's the guy's name? He was like the pit fighter from the from New Capenna. The I can't remember his name, but you know what I'm talking about. It's the 3/2 for 2. You can blitz him back into play from the graveyard. Let's see. But yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much it on that card. There's not much more I can say about that. Too high of a mana investment for me. Moving on, Llanowar Loam Speaker. So it's nice to see we're getting some elves from Llanowar. Haven't seen that word in a long time. It's a 1/3 for 2 mana. It's an elf druid, and it is tap, add 1 mana of any color. That right there, it's already pretty good. Based off of what I've seen since I've come back to Magic, I think we're doing away with 1 mana mana dorks. Now your best investment is a 2 mana dork. And this one gives you mana of any color, so that right there is pretty decent. And it's a 1/3, so it doesn't like die to a shock, so that's good news. Its other ability is tap. Target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. It's still a land. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so on your turn you can animate a land and swing in with it. Okay, that's decent if you don't need to tap them for mana. So yeah, if you're not spending that turn ramping into something, you can still be proactive and send a land at your opponent. Yeah, that's not bad. I give that like a kind of like a middle of the road kind of rating. But yeah, not much else to say about that. It's a decent versatile card. Moving on, Jasmine, Boreal of the Seven. It's a 1, a green and a white for a 2/4 legendary creature human druid. You can tap it to add a green and a white. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells with no abilities. Now I'm a little puzzled on the abilities. Like what does it mean to have an ability? Does it mean that it has to have like blank card text, or does it mean that its spell effect is passive? Is an ability something you tap for or like pump mana into to activate, like with Evolve Sleeper and Llanowar Loam Speaker? What exactly do you mean by that? So like I can so yeah, if it doesn't have an ability, let's say for instance, um Titan of Industry. Titan of Industry has triggers that go off when it comes into play, but it doesn't have any activated abilities once it's in play. Is that what you mean? Because if so, then that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I mean, you can pump out a Titan by turn 5. I say that's pretty decent. What else you should do? Creatures you control with no abilities can't be blocked by creatures with abilities. That is so weird. I feel like this card, like with the artwork and everything else, should have came out um, in Midnight Hunt with the other like white green druid stuff. I think that would be a better set for her to come out in. Yeah. Yeah, I think she came out in the wrong set. Maybe the developers were trying to make this card a thing in that set and just ran out of space and just kicked her forward a little bit. So yeah, that's that. Like pretty decent. I mean, I like that she adds 2 mana and has an additional effect on top of that. But I need to research a little bit more to find out what the abilities portion means. Okay, moving on. Next is Torwaki the Younger. Torwaki, that is a very familiar name. I believe there was a legend from the Legends set named Torwaki, and I believe it was an archer as well. But let's see what this one does. It is 3, a black and red. It's a 3/3 with reach and lifelink. He's a legendary creature, a human archer. If another source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player, it deals damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. Okay, alright, so it kind of flares up the damage a little bit. But it's non-combat damage only, so you're talking like lightning bolts, direct damage effects, things like that. Other ability is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Torwaki the Younger deals 2 damage to any target. Okay, that's not too shabby. It's a 3/3 for 5. I don't think that's making the cut in current standard. Uh, he's probably going to see a lot more play in Commander. I was like he's pretty decent. Like the text box is really good. I can see him being really good in like a well-crafted Commander deck, but Standard I don't think he's going to see a lot of play unless you can find a way to reduce his mana cost by 1 or 2. Next up, we have Ramirez Di Pietro, the Pillager. He's a human pirate, legendary creature. He's a 4/3 for 2, a black and a blue. So he's in my colors. I like that. When Ramirez Di Pietro, Pillager, enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life and create 2 treasure tokens. Okay. Trade some life for a little bit of mana ramp. I'm into it. Whenever one or more pirates you control deal combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. Now, as for the treasure tokens come into play, you want to be able to actually play what you steal. Whenever one or more pirates you control deal combat to a player, exile top card. Okay, yeah. So him being a pirate will trigger that as well, and there are a few other pirates, I believe in Standard, that can actually trigger this as well. It's okay. I don't like the fact that it doesn't come in with any form of evasion on its own, or like maybe like first strike or something like that. Without any kind of way to get to the wizard behind the throne, I don't think it's going to see a lot of play. But I think this might be in the same category as Torwaki the Younger. I think they're both going to be decent for Commander. And with Commander, you have access to a lot more cards than in Standard, so that's probably where that's going to go. Next up, we have the new full art lands, and these are all in a stained glass style, and I personally think these are very pretty. I like these a lot. The forest, the mountain, the swamp, the island, and the plains. Me personally, I think I like the swamp most out of all of them. It looks really nice to me. I really like how the skull with the mana symbol is framed by the encroaching vines. That's very nice to see. The island's pretty nice too. I like that the island is just like this tiny little bit of an island with the blue mana symbol up on top. Yeah. Okay. So honestly I think that's gonna do it for this video. Let me go ahead and swap back so I can just increase my headspace and talk to you. So that's pretty much what we got going on right now. What else you can expect from me going forward? I said in a previous video that I'm going to start focusing primarily on Magic Arena now. I used to kind of split my attention between the 3 games I enjoy. I also like to play Legends of Runeterra and Hearthstone, but I've really fallen off with those 2 games lately because I'm really fallen back in love with Magic, and Magic Arena has given me a venue to actually express that. So I'm going to start focusing much more of my time and effort making videos and live streaming for Magic Arena. So what you can expect going forward from me is I want to do a series where I future-proof my decks. I'm going to take existing decks, be them meta decks or decks that I personally enjoy playing, and future-proofing them, meaning making it so that they are going to be not losing anything when rotation comes in September with Dominaria United. I think I'll start with Boros, modifying that to be future-proofed, and then moving into other decks as I build them and want to share them with all of you. So if you have any suggestions for me, if you want to see what I'm doing going forward, go and subscribe. See if you want to see what else I got going on. But yeah, that's it for spoilers right now. Hopefully I'll see you again in another video. Thanks for coming on. Check you later. Bye.